All right, let me start over my whole spiel because I had a lot to say about this. OutRun is one of my favorite games of all time. I love OutRun. That said, I'm not necessarily very good at it, as you could probably see just now. I've beaten every route on OutRun back on the Mega Drive / Genesis, if that's how you roll. But the arcade version's a lot tougher, and maybe part of that is, the gameplay is way smoother. And then this here re-release is even smoother than that, because I think the arcade ran at 30 FPS, this runs at 60. I think there's a setting to change it to be exactly like the arcade, but this just feels good. This just feels really good. And that's what's great about this game. Like, it doesn't feel like you really have to win. It feels like you could just drive to your heart's content. And the game's designer, Yu Suzuki, always stressed that this isn't a racing game, it's a driving game. And maybe he was just talking about the fact that you don't have any opponents, but I feel like the lack of pressure to like, achieve is also part of it. And that's why I love playing this game. It's just like relaxing, even though, I'm constantly like losing because I run into the back of trucks and these weird freaking drivers keep trying to stop me from passing, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It just feels great. You get this vaguely city pop soundtrack going on with some of the tracks. So, this is honestly, you can imagine that's me and Noffles in the car, and that's pretty much one of my favorite activities in real life. Oh boy. Except not going this fast and crashing into frickin' rocks. That part doesn't generally happen to us. I'm not gonna make it. That does feel a little frustrating sometimes when you're like so close to the checkpoint and you don't make it. It's like an open world game before those existed. Yeah, except with this one, I'm not like all freaking... In open world games, I always just... Dang it! Whatever. In open world games, I always just kind of lose my sense of purpose. I don't know why Passing Breeze is the default song. It's still like the worst song, but whatever. I'll show you how it's the worst song. As a kid, I played, I guess, the PC version, which isn't very good. It's pretty choppy. Soundtrack is all like freaking PC speakers, so it sounds like complete ass, but somehow I still managed to have fun with this game. One thing I remember always finding really funny was like the crash animations. There's one where like, it's actually kind of hard to trigger, so it's kind of funny that that's the one that just like stuck in my mind, but like, you crash without getting thrown out of the car, and the girlfriend just like kind of yells at you. She just has like this... Yeah, kind of like that, but I think there's like another animation where she's like shaking her fist at you. Or maybe that's only in like certain versions of the game. I really don't know. Be something if this Ferrari had like an F-Zero thing where it could just like shoot to the side and just like bump other cars off the road. That would be awesome. It's like, fuck you, truck. That's also pretty true to life, is that just, like, frickin' trucks are the goddamn worst on the road. You get stuck behind them, and you're just like, come on, man. I'm trying to get to the checkpoint before my time runs out. I'm just gonna put another quarter in. Into my gas tank? I don't know. Whoa! Whoa! Collision was a little sensitive there. Am I like boned again? Am I about to like... Yeah. The exact same thing is about to happen. Yeah, see that sky change, and it's so tempting, but you can't. Now, of course, if you were going that fast in a freaking convertible in real life, you wouldn't be able to hear that city pop from your radio. All you'd be able to hear is the wind just like going by. So in the original arcade game, these are the only 3 songs, and these are like from, like, I guess like other versions of the game. Get ready? I'm not totally sure where they're all from, but. But yeah, if you think this looks cool, I absolutely recommend picking this up. It's part of the Sega Ages line, Sega Ages OutRun. It's on the Switch. I don't know if it's probably on other consoles, but I wouldn't know. It just feels great to play on a Switch. And the whole Sega Ages line is really cool because it's just these really like lovingly made ports of classic Sega games, arcade games, Genesis games, what have you. With a lot of like cool extra features. Like you can get Phantasy Star, and there's like an auto map and various like QOL things. But sadly, Sega hates when they get like successful with something, they're like, oh, okay, scrap that immediately. So the Sega Ages line ended with like a lot of games that would have been great to have on it, just like not be in there yet. And they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna try something else to bring our classic games over. And that was the last we heard about that. Like, the only other thing you have, I guess, is like Nintendo Online, like the expansion pack, you get Genesis games, but just freaking getting Genesis ROMs is just like, go outside and walk like a block and you'll stumble over freaking Genesis compilations. Like, there is zero novelty in that. It's just like, freaking... Some of these arcade games, like, have never been, like, properly ported or ported at all. Like, you know, Golden Axe, classic beat 'em up. On a Genesis, you had, like, Golden Axe 2 and 3. But the real arcade sequel, Revenge of Death Adder, has never been ported to anything. The only way you can, like, legally play it at home is if you buy, like, Sega's, like, mini arcade cabinet, the Astro City Mini. Which is freaking expensive. And otherwise, like, you're just stuck with, like, emulating it. Or, I don't know, freaking buying an arcade cabinet, I don't know. Yeah, you know, I feel like this is a great contrast to to Mario 3, because it's just like, I am failing constantly, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just freaking relaxing here and playing this freaking part over and over. And just talking to you guys. So, if you guys got any cool questions for me or anything, I am ready to answer, because I don't even care if I get distracted. I'm just having a grand old time. Eventually I'm just gonna end up muting the game music and just putting on one of those Pacific Breeze compilation albums. Not on stream, obviously, because that would get me in trouble, but just do that. Ah! Purple car, you have done me wrong. You're a bringer of evil. God damn it. Will you get out of my way, man? There we go. Nice. You can actually set the gear to be automatic, but I'm European. I'm not gonna do that. This route seems to be like particularly difficult. Like I always have trouble with that. Like, no matter what I do with the gas and taking my foot off the gas and braking, I inevitably run into those freaking rocks. Are you ever gonna do one of those VTuber intros? What are you talking about exactly? I don't know what you mean. City punk? I'm not familiar with that genre. Daytona USA. Oh man, I love Daytona USA. Has that ever had like a proper like arcade perfect port? I think there was one on like PS3 maybe.
Get ready.
Like PS3 and Xbox Live got like a bunch of like cool Sega arcade ports that I don't think are available anywhere else. Because you know, once again, there's this weird thing where like, even if a company's like, oh yeah, we're gonna re-release all our old stuff and we're gonna like make it all great and it's gonna be available real easily, you don't gotta worry about it. And then like, it's never an initiative that lasts. So you know, the next generation rolls around and you're just like screwed. Like for example, Sonic the Fighters, the Sonic fighting game. That was like an arcade exclusive for a really long time, and then they ported it. It wasn't like Sonic Gems Collection, I think, on the GameCube, and then eventually got like a cool enhanced port on PS3 and Xbox 360. And after that, it's like, you know, if you don't have that, the only way to play the game is if you get like one of the Yakuza games, and it's like in the arcade. It's in like, what is it, like Lost Judgment, I think? So then it's just like, you obviously like, you know, have this game working on this console, so why the heck not just make it available as like a cheap download on current consoles? You know, a lot of old games, like, you know, it's hard to do like a proper port because like source code wouldn't get like, you know, backed up. There were like, and you know, that sounds stupid now. Like, why would they get rid of the source code? But like, for a really long time, there really wasn't like a good reason to keep that stuff once the game was shipped, and like plenty of reasons not to, because it was just like a pain in the ass to keep all that stuff archived. So a lot of games, like, you know, the only way to bring them back is to do, like, emulation, and if you want to do, like, an enhanced port, it gets a little fucky. Like, for example, Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. That's like an emulator, I think, and the enhancements are just kind of, like, laid on top of the game, in a way. I think that's how that works, 'cause I think that's one of the games that, like, infamously is just like, yeah, we don't have the source code for that. Final Fantasy VII, neither. All the modern ports have, like, certain differences from the PlayStation game, because they're all based on the PC port, which was based on a beta version of the game. Because I guess they wanted to, like, make sure that PC port got out in a timely manner, so they gave those people unfinished code, and now that's the only version of the code that exists. What's your favorite album right now? Well, I just got Pacific Breeze 3, so I'm really enjoying that. I've been listening to Rina Sawayama's debut album. Sawayama. I really like that, because she's, like, the only person, like, doing, like, sort of 90s retro kind of things. Like, no one ever seems to go past 80s retro. Other than that, like, I've been kind of trying to, like, figure out, like, how to find more new music that I like, because, you know, I'm a big rock fan, and, you know, it used to be that you'd be able to find some decent rock just, like, listening to the radio and being like, oh, this band's got a new album out, that's gonna be cool. And then now radio has, like, no freaking rock, and even if it exists, it's really, like, crap and like, flaccid. So I'm trying to figure out how to find more good rock music now. So a lot of my old favorite bands, like, either, like, stopped making music or they became kind of crap. Like, you know, one of my favorite bands ever growing up was The Offspring, and I love most of their albums, but then, you know, they take, like, a decade to put out an album and it's just, like, embarrassingly bad. That sucks. Shit. I've been kind of getting into Alice in Chains recently. I've listened to them before, but, like, I was never really just, like, you know, kind of really getting into it. But then recently, like, for some reason it's a meme on YouTube right now to remake, like, grunge era albums with the Super Mario 64 sound font. And there's this really funny, like, rendition of Them Bones where, like, Lane Staley's, like, screams are just, like, Mario noises. And that made me laugh really hard. That just kind of reminded me, like, oh yeah, shit, I should listen to that band more. So, been kind of doing that. Fuck. All I hear is Radio Gaga. I actually don't really consider that to be in the upper echelon of Queen songs. It's just kind of there for me. Kind of, actually, like, a lot of 80s Queen I have, like, less affinity with, because when I was a kid, all I had was the first Greatest Hits album. So, you know, that's their, you know, 70s stuff. And I like, didn't know a lot of the 80s stuff for a long time. Just, like, whatever songs I happened to, like, catch on the radio. Offspring peaked at Smash, have been in their flop era lately. I honestly, more than the average person, I like later Offspring stuff, but I think, shoot. I always press the start button, but all that does is that. You know what? Just for fun, I'm gonna mess with the settings. I think Splinter was already a little weak because that's a short album and some of the songs aren't too great, but that's like the last classic Offspring to me. Like ever since they've just sounded weird and off, and maybe that's like, you know, the producers or Dexter getting older, not being able to hit those crazy notes. But yeah, Rise and Fall was not great. Like some of the songs were all right, but the production was just really freaking weird and it just didn't sound right. I remember liking most of Days Go By, but like, ah man, there were some really bad songs on there, and one song sounded like was almost kind of plagiarizing uh Rise Against. So that was kind of weird. All right, let's see what happens if we do this.
Get ready.
And then that last album was just like really freaking bad. Like they're clearly like out of ideas. But yeah, my favorites, I really love Ignition. Ignition is a great album. I love that fat bass sound it has. I just love how like kind of like Dexter sounds really pissed off on parts of that album, but it also has like, you know, some of the funny shit, like Burn It Up. Like Get It Right is great. Kick Him When He's Down. We Are One. And Smash, you know, kind of follows on from that, but I like that a bit less because I don't like the sound as much. Like, the bass is pretty tinny, and in the back half of that album, there's a couple songs I don't really care for. Ixnay is fantastic. I love Ixnay, except for Don't Pick It Up, which has aged really poorly. It's like incredibly terrible transphobic lyric on that one. But other than that, that album's pretty great. And Americana was the first Offspring album I heard, so definitely have a soft spot for that one. Although that album is a little all over the place with the mood, because there's some pretty dark songs on there, and then there's like, you know, the goofy shit everyone knows, like Pretty Fly and Get a Job. Which is just kind of weird having those songs next to, like, you know, the likes of Have You Ever, End of the Line, Pay the Man. I love that song. Kind of like was my intro to like prog rock a bit, because I love that song. And then my brother was listening to something like, you know, kind of stuff like that. And I was like, oh shit, this reminds me of Pay the Man, and kind of got into that. You listen to Bad Religion. I own the vinyl box set they put out for an anniversary. Like good God, that's a long time ago now. But it goes all the way from their first album up through The Scent of Man. Yeah, Bad Religion, it's like AC/DC, where it's like you always know exactly what you're gonna get with a Bad Religion album. Except for Into the Unknown, obviously, which is included on the box set, and I kind of do like that cheesy album. And there are some like subtle differences in like the way their craft kind of changes throughout. I wonder what this mega mix option is. Is this gonna be like a medley? Because, you know, if I just want to, like, you know, if I just really want to work off some steam, like, you know, Suffer and No Control, Against the Grain, that trilogy is just going to be great for that. And I kind of love the subtle progression of, like, oh shoot, I should be just switching gears here. The subtle progression there, because, like, Suffer still feels like really, like, you know, punky and just like this constant, like, onslaught. And that by Against the Grain, they're starting to do some weird shit, like Anesthesia. And then the trilogy after that I quite like for different reasons. Because Generator's a pretty weird album. Um, Recipe for Hate, though, like, I like that album, but it took a long time to grow on me because the sound of it is just really odd. Like the drums are really freaking weird. It's front loaded with some kind of odd songs like Kerosene. So that took a while to grow on me, but I actually quite like that album now. Wow, I am doing just like worse because I'm talking about Bad Religion, I guess. Yeah, Stranger Than Fiction, Grey Race. I like those albums a lot, even though, you know, it gets to a point where, like, you know, some of the songs can get kind of interchangeable, where it's like, oh, you know, I can listen to Empty Causes off of Grey Race, but it also sounds almost exactly like a song off of Recipe for Hate, that the name escapes me, but it's the one where he's all paranoid and shit. He's like, someone out there must be reading in my mail. It's Man with a Mission. That's the name of that song. And then after that, they had a couple. I never really listened to No Substance, but I thought I actually kind of like New America, even though that's like a really lambasted album. Process of Belief is fantastic. And yeah, just kind of like everything up through New Maps of Hell, like you can put that on and I'll jam to it. But really like Age of Unreason, felt very on the nose at the time, but I think it's held up surprisingly well. Yeah, that's like the only freaking good music that came out of the Trump administration, let's be honest. Like, it gets to a point where you have to be on the nose, right? Yeah, after New Maps of Hell, I kind of fell off of Descent of Man for a bit, because I didn't think that was a great album. When I listened to it, I like completely changed the track list. So I didn't listen to the albums after that for a really long time, but I do remember, like, jamming to Age of Unreason at some point. I think during the pandemic, I was just like kind of like, hey, I should catch up with all these bands. Man, this mix is making Passing Breeze sound way cooler. Shit. The rocks, man! Oh, Descent was your entry point. That's interesting. Bad Religion have also been one of my favorite like concert experiences. I saw them. I've seen them twice at like festivals, and the second one was just really amazing because my brother and I went to the festival together, and he went to see some other band. I was like, I want to see Bad Religion, and it was on one of the like tent stages, like, you know, it's like and you know, the ground was just grass, which they changed in later years because of the exact thing that happened, which was everyone was going so nuts during that concert that by the end it was just sand, and sand was like coming up and you had to watch out that you didn't get freaking sand in your eyes. And at the end of that show, I was so drenched in sweat that I was like, man, like my t-shirt's just like so uncomfortable. So I just went to like the merch stand and bought like a Bad Religion shirt immediately after and just put that on. Just good memories. And I had that shirt for a long time until one of the dogs tore it up. Don't understand where people get the time and patience to listen to entire discographies and albums. I mean, I just listen to music while I work on stuff. Like, if I just had to sit there and just listen to music, I wouldn't be able to do it. But when you're just, like, in the groove, like, I'm fairly sure that, like, I've, like, completed pictures just, like, binging, like, Bad Religion and Offspring. What's the worst concert experience you've ever had? Red Hot Chili Peppers, actually. This was back in the Stadium Arcadium era, so I think they were just kind of, like, not really into it at that moment. But, like, the two opening bands were... Okay, well, there was one opening band and then, like, a shitty rapper who got booed off stage. That was really not fun, and there was just, like, these long periods in between of nothing happening. It was, like, open air. Atmosphere wasn't great, and then, you know, the Red Hot Chili Peppers finally show up, and they were just not super into it. It felt a little like they were going through the motions, so that was really disappointing, because I like the Chili Peppers. Although I haven't listened to their newer albums, really, but a lot of classic stuff there. Mother's Milk through Stadium Arcadium I quite like. Although, by the way, and Stadium Arcadium, I tend to like pick tracks I like instead of listening to the whole thing through. A Day to Remember? I don't think I know the band. I vaguely know the name. Yeah, I don't think I've seen a band who were just like completely out of it. Just like bands that weren't really like given their best. But I could be wrong, I don't know.
Get ready.
I feel like I somehow got worse at this game when I turned the difficulty down. But it's probably just because I'm having fun talking. Like, by all means, keep asking me about music or whatever. I still don't know what Alcazar meant by making a VTuber intro. So I'd love to know. Shit. Stupid truck. Made me look bad. Ruining everything, truck. You know what sucks? I once almost had the chance to play like an actual OutRun sit-down cabinet. There was like a big arcade expo in my first year of college in the Netherlands, and they had like tons of cool machines. I got to play like Darius, poppin' music, tons of really cool stuff. And at the very end, my friend and I found like the OutRun machine, but they were like about to close down, so he got to play the OutRun machine and I didn't, and I hated that so much. Oh shit, I never did play. I didn't change my category, did I? Huh. Fucking Twitch categories. Who even cares? Who's even gonna find this? There you go. Anyway, yeah, well, welcome to the chat. Oh fuck, I'm still playing. That got me really frazzled. And now the chat's not scrolling. Fuck-a-dee-doo-dah. Well, I'll lose soon, and then I'll look at the chat. Get away from me, truck. It's always the truck! Oh shit, I actually made it. Favorite arcade machine you've ever played? So in the Netherlands, they don't really have arcades usually. I think the only places you can really find arcade machines are like, you know, if they happen to be at like a theme park or a resort or something, and then I usually wouldn't be allowed to play them by my parents, so that sucked. So I didn't really get to do the arcade thing until, you know, there was that expo, and then now that I live in America, it's a little easier to find, like, places to, like, you know, arcades. I was gonna be like, places where you can play arcade games, also known as arcades. But I love rhythm games that have, like, weird setups, so that's why I like, you know, I like poppin' music. Especially because, the version they have at the arcade I like to go to has like a bunch of anime songs in it, so you just get to be like, oh yeah, I'm playing the Evangelion theme! But pressing like with these big buttons. And like, beat 'em ups are really fun. I've beaten like Golden Axe on an actual machine. You know, the place that like Waffles and I go to sometimes, it's like, you know, you just pay the entrance fee and then it's like free play on all the games. So getting through a beat 'em up is kind of just an inevitability. It's just a matter of like how many times you press the start button, but they're just like nice and kinetic. So, you know, playing like Golden Axe or Final Fight, although their Final Fight is, you know, the US version, so it's slightly censored. But hey, it's still Final Fight, right? It's good, we like Final Fight. Actually, recently got like one of the Capcom collections on Switch and played through Final Fight with Waffles, and that was just fun to do. But yeah, I really wish that arcade had an OutRun machine, because it's like, it's freaking OutRun! How can you not have OutRun if you're gonna have a freaking arcade? But, you know, maybe they just haven't been able to source a machine for it or something. They have the freaking Aerosmith rail shooter game. Fucking sucks. It's terrible, but every time I'm there, I'm just like, there's a fucking Aerosmith video game. Light gun games are pretty cool. I've never really, like, you know, had like a light gun experience at home, but in the arcade it's just like, you know, the screens are freaking massive. You have like this really cool gun controller. The sound is often like loud as fuck, so it's just great to do. But I don't have a particular one where I'm like, yeah, it's just like whatever they happen to have. I'll like give it a shot. Get it? Give it a shot? Haha. I'm a comedic genius. No, not the rocks! Not the rocks! Come visit you? I don't know. I think I've done enough traveling for a little while after the Netherlands trip. But, you know, maybe eventually. Like I kind of discovered I hate long distance travel, especially airplanes. Because it used to be that I'd freaking fly over the ocean to like be with novels, and that sense of longing would make everything worth it so easily. But now that we're together, we get on the plane, it's just like, oh, fuck this, man, fuck this, this sucks so bad. Shit. Sand is messing me up. Oh, you know what I also love? Pinball. I am not good at it in the slightest, but I love myself some pinball. And much like other arcade things, it's something that I only got to like really play as an adult. Like before that, it was just like, video game simulations of pinball. But I got into the pinball arcade on Steam, which I don't think really is a thing anymore, but for a while they had a lot of like simulations of real arcade pinball machines, and I just fell in love with some of those tables. Like I love Arabian Nights. If I ever get rich, I want a real Arabian Nights table in my house. You've been playing Resident Evil 4. I gotta play more Resident Evil. I finally have like hardware that can freaking handle the PC version of Resident Evil 2 remake. I mean, I could have just freaking bought on PS4, but at some point I need a new laptop, and it just kind of happened like that. Oh, thank you for the donation. YouTube has been putting tons of trans VTuber VODs in my recommended vids lately, and I'm always so happy to... Why'd the notification go away? I wasn't finished reading! No! Alright, I'll have to pull it up on the site. I need a better system for this stuff. Please show me that message. Oh, I gotta go on Ko-fi. I can't read it in my email. Alright, YouTube's been putting tons of trans VTuber VODs in my recommended vids lately, and I'm always so happy to find a new one to watch. You're a really entertaining personality, and watching you play OutRun was really fun. Thank you so much! That's really nice. Thank you very much. No, it's fine. I gotta fix my settings with this whole Ko-fi thing, and I don't know, maybe I gotta switch to like an actual Twitch donation thing. I don't know how any of that works yet, because I didn't originally start on Twitch. I was originally on Picardo, so. But hey, either way, very much appreciated. Thank you very much. I hope I will see you in future streams as well.
Get ready.
It makes me incredibly happy whenever, like, someone finds my stuff and, like, really enjoys it. I don't know, maybe that seems obvious to say, but, like, anything creative I do that, like, someone just, like, enjoys it, not just because it's, like, I'm showing it to a friend and they're like, oh, that's cool, my friend, you're making thing. But just, like, that my stuff stands on its own and does something for someone. That is just the coolest thing in the world to me. And to bring it back to music, like, I used to play in bands, and being on stage and having people get into it was just the best feeling in the world. And I haven't done that in a long time, because I don't know any musicians, but also I'm just not a particularly good musician because I have some, motor function problems, so I'm an incredibly mediocre guitarist, and my vocal range isn't particularly amazing, but I just, So it's just not something I've been able to do. I'm not trying to be too down on myself there, but Yeah, remembering the times that I, was on stage with the band, best feeling in the world. Oh boy. That turn terrifies me because I always know it's coming and there's just never anything I can do about it. Also, I'm happy the YouTube algorithm like picked me up as like a trans VTuber because I don't think I actually put it in like my tags or anything. Unless I did and I forgot about it. It's possible. I guess, maybe I did do that. That would explain why I got those weird transphobes on my Wolfenstein video. I've just been assuming it's because they took offense to me shooting Hitler. Man, I could just play this freaking game for hours and talk, to be honest. Even though I'm making, like, no freaking progress here.
Get ready.
Actually, let me, like, just really quick see if I missed anything in chat up there. Okay, I don't think I did. Alright, I usually stop around 9:30, so, if you got any other cool stuff you want to talk about with me, then, go right ahead right now. Meantime, I'm trying to think of like more music stuff. I really like Ghost. Although again, like it's a pattern with every artist I bring up, where it's like, oh, I don't like their most recent stuff. I didn't really dig their last album, but the first two and the fourth, I really enjoy. And even the third album, though I don't really like it as an album, it does have, God, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, Kirike? That song kicks ass. I love that song. Also, From the Pinnacle to the Pit, that bass line is fantastic. But yeah, other than that, I don't really listen to that album, but there are other, 1, 2, and 4, those are the albums I like. You said you got into prog rock. I like myself some Pink Floyd. Very obscure choice, I know. Emerson, Lake and Palmer is a favorite of mine, although they go through some, odd periods in their discography, so I don't like everything, but I've got pictures at an exhibition on vinyl. Quite like that performance. Shoot, what else? I'm kind of blanking. On the prog rock. I think a lot of it, like, I got through... Hello.
Hi. I heard you talking about prog rock.
You got anything to say about prog rock?
I might have a band. Rush. How could you forget Rush, honey?
Well, when you came in, I was like, oh shit, I forgot Rush. And I was just like... if I say it now, like, I've just been, like, doing badly but having fun chatting.
Yeah.
So.
I've been playing Illusion of Gaia. It's fun.
Darkest is a fun soundscape. Yeah, a lot of prog I got into via my brother because, when I was little, we shared a room, and then again when, I was, like, a young adult, so... He would just be playing music, and I would be getting really into that, and, he had a lot of proggy stuff, and sometimes I don't even know what the hell the band is, but I could, like, sing you the songs, or, imitate the soundscapes. There's a band called Ulver. I don't know if if you call them prog rock exactly. Maybe it's more like post rock, whatever that means. That's something my brother would. I don't know. I don't fucking know. But they have some stuff I quite like for just like unsettling yet chill soundscapes. Oh, I really like Opeth. Love that band. Damnation's always an album I put on when I'm just like, kind of, you know, sad but want to chill. And then when I'm just like, you know, in a harsher mood, I'll put on Still Life or Ghost Reveries. And there's stuff post Ghost Reveries that's like less metal. Or like they had another metal-y album that I don't. Watershed? That one was okay. But anyway, their later stuff, when they stopped doing the metal thing, I haven't gotten into it as much, but I do like it when I hear it. I don't know what song I selected, but I like it. Here it comes. Oh.
I love listening to you talk.
Well, it's a good thing we're married then?
Yeah. It's cool hearing you talk about music because, like with pretty much fucking everything except, I guess, superhero comics, you know way more about it than me.
I mean, I'm not like this, like, freaking font of knowledge altogether. Like, there's gonna be plenty of bands where people can, you know, completely stump me and I'll have to be like, yeah, sorry, I'm a fake music fan.
Yeah, like Rush.
Yeah, you got me into Rush. I did not know, like, well, hang on. I didn't know Spirit of Radio because it was on Rock Band.
Yep.
But that's it. That was the only Rush song I knew.
Well, it's a good one. It's also my favorite song of all time, so...
I thought Limelight was your favorite.
Nope, that is up there, though. I really did need some Limelight.
Yeah. I love Subdivisions. Any song about, like, teenage alienation still gets me.
Yeah.
Still hurts.
That one also, like, it's really easy to apply to, like, being a creative person in a capitalist hellscape.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a lot of, like, teenage alienation type stuff is kind of like that because, you know, if you're a creative, you can't really become the sort of adult that society wants you to be.
Yep.
So you're just always kind of gonna be stuck in that mode, and you just kind of have to, like, you know, accept that that's not, like, a stunted growth thing. It's just society is fucking you.
Wow, this route sucks.
Yeah, I think Route A is pretty hard, but it's the one I keep falling into.
Only they can let you change your titles.
I think some of the sequels let you do stuff like that, but I've never gotten any of the OutRun sequels, which is weird because I love this game so much, but just like, I've played Turbo OutRun and Outrunners briefly,
Whoa.
and I couldn't get into them. I didn't like them at all. When did Noth get into Rush?
Yes. Okay, so... it took me a long time to develop music tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Largely because whenever my family went anywhere, we would use democracy, which would mean my two sisters and mom would pick music they liked over what my dad and I would like. And because I was young, this is the only exposure to music I really got, and I didn't like any of it. It wasn't until my dad started having to drive me to, like, bowling league and karate lessons that, like, he would play his music, and I'd be like, oh, some of this is cool. And the first Rush song that really just latched into my head was Free Will. Which probably happened when I was like 10 or 11? 12 maybe? I don't know. And my dad liked Rush. He actually saw the 2112 tour. Like, that was the one, like, that was, like, right on the cusp of them getting big. That was their breakthrough album.
Your dad's seen a lot of cool concerts.
Yeah.
Whenever he talks about it, I'm just like, you know, I'm like jealous because, like, a lot of those bands, like, aren't around anymore, and when they are, concerts are freaking expensive. Thanks, Ticketmaster.
But then he also had the Rush Retrospective, which is, like, their first greatest hits album. And that was how I first heard Spirit of Radio, Limelight, Subdivisions, I think. the 2112 Overture and Temples of Syrinx, Xanadu. There was just a lot of really good shit on that, and that was how I got into Rush.
Echelon says Free Will is a hell of a track.
Oh my god.
Um,
I love Free Will because it's like they have a guitar solo, bass solo, and drum solo going on all at once, and it doesn't sound like dog
and up
shit.
here, okay, well, you know what? From now on, I'm just gonna call everyone by the name they have in chat because, I know a bunch of you by other names, but it's just gonna get confusing. So, GMM Cast says Blackwater Park is the best Opeth album. It's up there for me. I'd say it's like definitely top 5 for me. Been hitting Zeal and Ardor to stretch my metal itch lately. I'll have to check them out. Alcazor says, see, I just grew up listening to all those songs on the radio. Didn't even have to look.
Lucky you.
Yeah, I mean...
it's just because, like, God, for, like, the first 10 years of my life, it was just, like, pop or country was all I got to hear, and I hated it.
Yeah, every country's gonna have, like, their like, homegrown stuff that's gonna be, like, played a ton. So there's a lot of, like, Dutch artists where I'm like, yeah, I love those, but, no one else in the world's gonna know who they are. And, Canada has, like, not only their pride, but their laws about playing Canadian stuff. That helps.
That's why Rush plays on every radio station sooner or later.
And then the US is like, a lot of these artists are gonna be all over the world. Everyone knows them. But then also country is a real thing I had to discover when I moved here.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a joke. People actually like country. I don't know. You can actually play Zeal and Ardor's music on Twitch. They've said anyone can for free. That's super cool, but I'm afraid that, like, the automated DMCA system isn't gonna know that, so I'm still not gonna do that right now. If that's okay. Do you know the Tragically Hip? That sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't. Shoot, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just because a band's Canadian doesn't mean I automatically don't know them. I love Billy Talent. Fucking great band, I love them. There's only one Billy Talent album that isn't like a complete banger, and that's Afraid of Heights. But then they bounced right back with Crisis of Faith. That's a really good album.
Talk about Journey at all?
No, we haven't.
Yeah, we got to see Journey live like a month ago.
Yeah?
Journey and the two guys calling themselves Toto and their session musicians.
Yeah. I love Toto, but, like, finally getting to see them live and it's in, like, this sort of formation isn't the best feeling in the world, but it was still entertaining. But Journey blew them out of the freaking water, especially with Arnal Pineda. Like, that guy's energy was just, like, bottomless, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Like, goddamn, that made me a Journey fan.
Now, the Tragically Hip are another classic Canadian rock band. I'm gonna have to take notes for later, because, like I said, definitely looking for, like, new bands to listen to. Let me just freaking go into my freaking collection here and talk about some cool shit.
While you're looking, the Journey song that's really just clawed into my head since that concert is Only the Young. Damn, that thing is just like, that is a me song.
I'm glad you like it. It's not one of my faves, actually. Because I like super strong hooky choruses, and that one just kind of like flows.
It's
like, I don't hate the song, but it's not one I would really go like, yeah, fuck yeah, you know?
It's the lyrics, like, the meaning and everything, where I'm just like, oh boy, that's me.
Yeah, I get you.
So cool seeing. Anyway, you want it played live though, because God.
Yeah, man, there were a lot of songs that just like hit so hard live when it comes to Journey. Like, that one, obviously, Don't Stop Believin', Separate Ways are obviously gonna do it. Frickin' Wheel in the Sky, which I don't like that much in the studio, that was freaking powerful on stage.
Yeah.
And I think the crowd reaction had a lot to do with that one too. Red Barchetta feels very relevant to the game being streamed. Is that a band or a song?
That's a Rush song.
Oh.
It's the one I keep joking about, where it's just like Rush finally wrote a song about a cool car, and knowing Rush, they made it about like a science fiction dystopia.
Fair enough. If we're like, shoot, I actually don't have like a lot of like prog rock just sitting around here, so I can't go further into like that side of things. I need to fix that.
I keep meaning to check out Yes, and then I never do.
I have the album that has Roundabout on it. I don't really like the rest of the album that much. Because it feels like the kind of prog where it's just like, let's just do some really weird shit regardless of whether it sounds good.
Yeah. Got them Roundabout out of it though.
Mm-hmm. But like back on the punk side of things, a Wilhelm Scream is a band I really like. I like a lot of AFI. Though after they came back from their long hiatus, I can't get into that stuff. But like Black Sails, Art of Drowning, Sing to Sorrow, and December Underground. I also really love, though they're not punk at all. And it feels kind of silly just going down the list here and just being like, I like this band. I like this band that I own music of. It's good. How about Black Sabbath?
Oh, yeah.
What's your opinions there?
I like Black Sabbath.
That it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Fair enough.
I know I like Black Sabbath, but it's a band I still have yet to like sit down and actually listen to a bunch of. Similarly, goddamn, I really need to check out some more of the Extreme. Because, I obviously, I'm blanking on his name, but the frontman joined Van Halen for the one album.
Oh, Gary Sharon?
Yeah, Gary Sharon.
Yeah.
And it's like, Van Halen was not kind to him, but then I listened to, Get the Funk Out and, The Decadence.
Oh, that reminds me, you should listen to Faith No More as well.
Alright. But, I really like those two Extreme songs, so now I'm like, okay, this band kicks ass. I need to listen to more.
Echelon says, Alan Parsons Project is a great late 70s prog band. Shit, yeah, I love Eye in the Sky. That album is fantastic. Can't believe I forgot about that. Mars Volta for modern prog. I need to get into Mars Volta more. I really only know one song because I somehow got a hold of like a promo vinyl single for Wax Simulacra. And that song is freaking insane. I love it, but I haven't gotten into the rest of their stuff yet. What about the band Metric? No, again, it's like I feel like I know the name, but I couldn't tell you anything about him. Black Sabbath-wise, Heaven and Hell, I love that album. I'm sad that, like, Dio only did the 2 albums with him.
I love, like, Neon Nights. That was my first, that probably wasn't my first Black Sabbath song, but it was the first one that I just, like, instantly latched onto. The fact that there are parts of the song that reminded me very heavily of a certain TV show opening theme I watched religiously as a kid growing up did a lot to help. Much like the song being called Neon Nights, this was another show about very colorful people who fought things.
Yeah, I love the title track. Neon Nights is really good. Really just that album flows really great, and it's just like, it's this specific kind of like, early metal that I really like that I haven't really like found in other bands. I'm sure it's there, but there's just something specific about like the melodicness, that's not a word, and the production where it has this like warm, cool like feeling to it. Just feels like so prototypical. We're just like, yeah, that's heavy metal, man. I do like some of the Aussie era stuff too. I used to cover War Pigs with my band a lot.
Yeah,
'cause that's a great like song to just jam on once you get to that part of the song. Frickin' Snowblind is a like all-time classic song, and it featuring like surprisingly self-aware Aussie. Um, but I gotta listen to like more of the Aussie era, really. Um, we're really on like the metal stuff, and I'm just like looking at like my digital collection here and just being like, I have a lot of like really poppy stuff that would be cool to talk about, but it'd feel like a really hard shift, you know. um, I wonder if that new Metallica album's any good.
Yeah, I know I messaged you the incredibly funny story about, like, the attempts to leak it.
Hmm.
So this is all hearsay. I don't have a source on this other than, like, I saw somebody talking about it on Twitter. But apparently, the new Metallica album almost leaked a week early. A guy got a hold of a CD, to leak it. And then realized, oh fuck, I don't have a disk drive. So he couldn't rip it. So he, used his phone to record, like, a couple songs, I guess, but then, like, he just disappeared off the internet and the videos went with him. Then, somebody else managed to get a hold of a CD, and then they were like, oh shit, I also don't have a disk drive. Well, I do, but I somehow don't have it on my person to use. So I guess I'll make phone recordings too. And then they basically changed their mind, like, I'm not gonna leak it. So somebody else has to. And then just nobody else got a copy.
I mean, just wait a freaking week.
I know, right?
But yeah, I remember that single that came out and being like, not an amazing song, but the energy feels like it's like, notched up a bit since the last couple albums. Did you hear T-Pain's cover of War Pigs? I can't say I have, no. That sounds insane. Um... But yeah, like I'm curious if to see if that Metallica album's gonna be good, because um apart from Saint Anger, I don't feel like Metallica's really ever gotten like bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like Death Magnetic was hard to get into until there were like versions that were like, wouldn't destroy your freaking speakers. Yeah, Spit Out the Bone, that was the one I meant. That song was just like, that's like, the freaking like energy of just like, get the fuck out of the way. Here comes the juggernaut. Like that's what you want from Metallica, right? I used to be pretty big into Megadeth. I still like a bunch of their stuff, but like Dave Mustaine just really went off the freaking edge, and that kind of sours me on like most of their stuff from like this millennium, basically. Kind of one of those cases of like, you slowly realize he's being serious, like it's not like a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like Weezer.
I gotta check out, I gotta check out the new AC/DC album, Power Up, or Powered Up. Because that came out like a couple of years ago in the midst of the pandemic, and they released like the first song. It was like the reunion of like the still living members of the Back in Black lineup.
Right.
And they released like the single for it for the rest of the album, Shot in the Dark, and I listened to it and I'm like, fuck me, this sounds like really good. Like, it's the same AC/DC problem where like, yeah, this is definitely AC/DC, but the reason they have just kept making the same album over and over is because it's a really fucking good album.
Yeah.
Like, I listened to Shot in the Dark and I was just like, oh wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's just cool that they can still like, do that, because so many bands just like with age lose the ability to like, have their sound.
Yeah.
And I remember even like as far back as like what was it, Black Ice, just being like, how do they still sound like this? Like, it's not nothing new.
Yeah.
But also it's impressive that it doesn't sound like age has like reduce their fire any.
Yeah, sorry, Van Halen.
You know, Plasmatic. Sorry, no. Again, I don't know. I don't know. I guess there really is just like the two Canadian bands I know, and then I'm just screwed. Unless there's anyone else I'm not thinking about that I know from Canada. I wonder what's gonna happen with the Foo Fighters. Oh, Plasmatics isn't Canadian. They're a metal band. I'm writing all this stuff down for later, or rather, I'm recording the stream anyway. So, yeah, Foo Fighters are apparently gonna do some shows again, and I don't think they've said who's gonna be the drummer now that Taylor Hawkins passed away. And like I expect that's just gonna affect like their sound and their vibe a lot. So, kind of wonder how that's gonna go. Because I've seen Foo Fighters, but it feels like a million times because they'd always be at festivals, and it's just like even when whatever latest album they had was maybe not as great, it's still just like it's still always a party, and just being like, yeah, hell yeah, Foo Fighters, like you just expect them to always be around, and life and death happens and it sucks.
Yeah.
And it's just generally like weird to think about all the artists I've seen live that
Like, Rush is my favorite band ever
Mhm.
of all time.
Yeah.
That will probably not change until the day I die. I only got to see them live once during the Clockwork Angels tour.
Mm-hmm.
I was young and stupid and didn't pay attention the way I should have, the way I did when we saw Journey.
Right.
So I didn't really get that full, proper experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, always going to regret that because I'm pretty sure the tour they did after that one was the R40 tour, which was it. And then Neil Peart passed away, and God, what a loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tragic, especially given like his life. And yeah, that's just like that guts me. Like I hate thinking about that.
Yeah.
Especially because like, I got a text from my dad one day when the R40 tour was going on, and he was just like, not gonna be home tonight. Got invited to go see Rush. And and back then I was just like, you son of a bitch! How could you? Just leave me out of this. And it was like, because, he was friends with a guy who, had connections and could get tickets really easily.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, one extra ticket they could do. They probably wouldn't have been able to find another one for me. Not on short notice.
Right.
And, that was just like a funny little anecdote. Until, Neil Peart died and Rush confirmed they were over, and that just made me, like, pretty sad.
Yeah. Streaming late tonight? I mean, I'm having fun talking.
I should really, like,
Even though, we're on a bit of a downer right here.
I should, like, go shower and things, because I have work tomorrow.
Yeah, me too. So, let me just round things off with, like, a funny anecdote. I saw The Offspring live in like a small but well-known club in Amsterdam when they were doing their Ignition anniversary tour, playing that whole album, and then like a bunch of their other hits, stuff off their then upcoming new album. I'm short, especially for a Dutch person, so I was having a little trouble. Like, I was like, I want to be able to see the freaking band. And then I noticed that like the like support beams they had like a little like ledge on them. So I just climbed up there and just put my arm around that freaking support beam and just stayed up there for the entire show. And at one point, Noodles is just looking directly at me like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm just like, having fun. I'm having fun. I tried to take video from up there, but I had like a shitty fucking Windows phone, so it was like completely like just like, couldn't do anything with that footage. But yeah, that was pretty great. And they still sound really good live as well, even though they had to tune the songs down because like writing those songs so high pitched was just always gonna be a problem. I think how the hell would he ever do like frickin' Me and My Old Lady live off of Ixnay or like She's Got Issues like. That's like insanely. I don't think he does any falsetto. It's all just like frickin' screeching in his normal register. It's nuts. Coheed and Cambria. Shit. I want to say I've seen them live at a festival, but I don't freaking remember. Festivals get nuts with just like the amount of frickin' cool bands you just see like all in a row. But yeah, that'll be the end of this stream, so thank you all very much for watching. Tell all your friends about Rosie. You can follow me on these things down here. I love you guys. I'll be back on Thursday with Doom, so see you then. Rosie rolling out!